Most American independent films reflect controversial issues about our society. These filmmakers focus on different topics that become a consistent theme throughout their work. One of these polemical filmmakers is Spike Lee, which many of his films portray characters going through tough struggles. The focus of his film is usually about racism, poverty, and oppression in the Black community. As a child, Lee was raised in a middle-class neighborhood in Brooklyn, where he absorbed most of the cultural issues that he portrays in his work. Spike Lee films have become controversial through many of his particular recurrent topics and techniques used throughout his filmography. In order to be polemical and cause conscience, Spike Lee chooses to be controversial
to start some discussion, provoke some thought about racism, which I feel is not just an American problem, I think it's a world problem.
Sweeping the nation. You notice that everybody white want to be black.
Throughout his filmography, he had portrayed recurrent topics as racism, gun control, and oppression in the Black community. Spike Lee became controversial using many different techniques to show his vision to the audience, which included comedy.
Satire is a good way to look at things in a satirical light, and this film looks at popular culture,
camera movements, and cast. He has shown controversy many times by using uncommon stories with uncommon characters. Spike Lee likes to play with people's preconception about movies.
Your preconceived notions are, well, if this film is about Black people, well, that means that there should be drugs in it. I should see some rapes in it, I see some murders in it, I should see some 13-year-old mother throwing their baby out of a window. To me, that's showing, what your preconceived notions are about us as a people.
In Do the Right Thing, he showed that not all movies about Black people are about drugs or gangs. The film shows the Brooklyn neighborhood with different stories from the Black community, dealing with different situations not related with breaking the law. And She Gotta Have It is about a Black young lady who is experiencing her sexual liberation.
My body, my mind. Who's gonna own it, them or me?
While the men around her are trying to oppress her. In those times, showing a girl being sexual was very uncommon.
Heads, tails, you lose. Nola, will you tell these two gentlemen it's time for them to go?
My fate decided by the flip of a coin.
Nevertheless, he also tells unlikely stories that follow the path of violence where the Black community gets involved. In the movie Chiraq, the director Spike Lee describes the violent community of the south side of Chicago. The plot's main point is when women start a strike and realize they have the power to end the war between gangs, which would also help put a stop to gun violence. In BlacKkKlansman, a Black cop infiltrates a racist, violent Ku Klux Klan, showing various racist topics which are present in today's society. Spike Lee uses another impactful technique in his movie, and that is his sense of humor.
Girl, I got plenty of what you need.
He has a particular sense of humor, and he combines it with drama to show the absurdity in racism. Many times, he shows cultural stereotypes. The different male characters in She Gotta Have It show the typical male characters in our society, such as the gentleman,
The decent ones.
I know it sounds corny, but if I didn't follow you, I might not ever see you again.
You're right, that does sound corny.
the machismo,
And the dogs. I've never seen anybody who like to look at themselves more than you do. Don't you ever get tired?
Never happened, baby.
and the irresponsible one.
Freak, freaky deaky.
In the movie Bamboozled, the stereotypes go even further to the point where Black people in media perform goofy characters that ridicule themselves further by looking blacker. By doing this, those characters created successful media in this film. Spike Lee uses particular techniques in his filmography to communicate his message. Camera movements are what define his films. Dutch angles are used in Do the Right Thing every time there's a conflict or argument between characters from different cultures. He repeatedly uses low angles and Do the Right Thing to show superiority in characters' arguments. Spike Lee creates the feeling of a documentary in his movies, and another technique is breaking the fourth wall. Throughout She Gotta Have It, most of the characters talk to the camera to communicate their perspective, which this can also be seen in Do the Right Thing as well.
Spaghetti Bennett, Vic Damone, Perry Como, Luciano Pavarotti, Solo Mio non-singer motherfucker.
You gold teeth, gold chain wearing, fried chicken and biscuit eating, monkey ate baboon, big thigh, fast running.
Since the beginning of his career, Spike Lee has shown very distinct casts compared to other movies. Most of his films are personified by black casts, and they are lacking or with no white characters. Not only the cast, but also his crew have diversity. The Netflix reboot of She Gotta Have It reflects this.
He enlisted his wife, Tanya Lewis Lee, whom he credits with bringing the story to TV, as well as 5 female writers, including the Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright Lynn Nottage.
Clearly throughout his filmography, Spike Lee has made very provocative films, and he has achieved this in many ways. His movies touch a variety of sensitive themes, such as gun violence, racism, and oppression in the black community. The reason why these are sensitive topics is because problems like these are still happening in the world today. Lee's films have many purposes, but the most important one is to cause some thought and start discussion of the change needed in our society.